Hey, this is Ike's Finished Tech. Today I have a G3 Macintosh all-in-one, affectionately known as the Molar Mac. This one has a little bit of an abscess inside, so let's see if we can save it. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be taking this thing apart, seeing just how bad it is. I took a quick peek. There is a battery bomb. Hopefully it's repairable, or at least, manageable enough that we can get this thing running again. I don't want to have to replace all the parts, but that is an option in repair. Hopefully we're not going that route. So let's get this thing apart and just see how bad of damage that we're looking at. So I'm going to swing this thing around. I don't have one of those fancy Lazy Susans that other YouTubers have. I probably should invest in one. They're like $20, but you could spin the whole thing around, make it look all cinematographic. I don't need that. So let's get this thing out of here. Just carrying this thing up the stairs, I could hear rusty bits going all about. So hopefully it's not that bad. Let's get the cables disconnected here. Now, when I picked this up, the guy had like 30 of these things, and I did have my pick. This was the best one. It was pretty rough. It's such a shame, too, because all these were basically taken out of whatever high school, middle school they were in, and set into a damp area and left for 30 years. Okay, got it coming out. Now, I'm sure you can already see some of the damage. Basically, the motherboard tray is gone, on that corner, I should say. The logic board itself, I keep saying motherboard, I do PC and Mac. So the logic board definitely has some serious damage. It doesn't look like it's not repairable though, so that might be something we can go ahead and repair. I do have a replacement logic board on order in case this one was toast. For the magic repair of $20 plus shipping, you too can repair a Mac logic board. So I have that on order in case this one is too far gone. If it isn't and it can be repaired, which it looks like it might be able to, I haven't taken it out, seen the underside yet, but if it is repairable, I will definitely repair it, and that can be its own video and whatnot. The amount of dust in this thing and dirt is ridiculous. So that will be a whole other video on its own. Let me get a good view on the camera here. So that is the damage from the blown up battery. Let me see if I can get the cables out of here, and then we can get a better view of what damage took place. This little board here definitely could use some love as well. It's not terrible. Don't know if that's going to focus. Let me get my camera to focus. So it doesn't look too terrible. Cap's definitely done, but the board itself is in good shape, so that will be an easy repair. Let's set that aside. Let's work on getting these cables routed out the best way I can. That is just electrical tape holding those cables together. I don't know if that was Apple's factory doing that. That seems not very Apple. But yeah, that does look like electrical tape holding those cables together, which would be hilarious with thinking back to my history of Apple and how they really over-engineer things. And if it were something as simple as electrical tape being the fix, that's not very Apple. Okay, that's the floppy drive cable. There is no zip drive in this thing. It just has the zip drive blank. So I will get a zip drive for it eventually. I assume this cable goes to the back of the CD-ROM, so that's where that's going to go. From the looks of it, it does have the very fragile G3 drive sleds, and they seem to be intact. I have been fairly lucky so far, knock on wood somewhere in this room. The plastic is in decent shape, not too many cracks. I don't know if you can see it on the camera here, but you can actually see one of these little air holes has rust coming out of it. So the actual housing itself, looking into the back of this thing, does have rust in it too. I'll see if I can get a camera angle of that in a minute. Let's see here, let's start taking it apart. The LTT screwdriver does not fit in those little holes, so yeah, that's going to be something. It fits that far, but then stops because there is a slight bend in the frame here for that to attach to, so I'm not going to force that. The board itself, aside from having bits of rust floating around from the exploded battery, does appear in good shape. The battery compartment will obviously have to come off. All the caps will get replaced, even the ones that are far from it. That's going to need done. Let's go ahead and get all of this apart, because I'm going to do a full restore on this thing. It's going to be a few videos. Don't expect this in one sitting. I'm going to do retro bright on the plastics because the plastics are yellowed. I am going to clean it out thoroughly, wash every component of this thing, maybe do some upgrades, see what I can get done on that. It is a pretty capable machine if it turns on. That is the goal here, is to get this thing to turn on. Okay, so I found the hard drive cage. The hard drive is gone. That's to be expected. This thing did come out of a school. So when I got this thing, the guy has quite a few listed on Marketplace. Real nice guy, too. He wasn't hiding the fact that they were in bad shape. He was basically saying these are parts machines as is. So I went into that a little hopeful that a lot of times when you do see something that just says for parts, it's because either they know it's broke or they don't know what's wrong with it and don't know how to test it. So a lot of times the easy way out is just saying parts only and, you know, buy at your own risk. This guy knew the condition they were in, the storage they were in, so he was being honest. I still went to check it out anyways because I was being optimistic. This was the best one out of the batch. Now, I am probably the 200th person he's had go through that garage and pick one, so I didn't get the best one, that's for sure. But they are not terrible. So if I can get this thing apart, cleaned up really good, replace the parts that need to be replaced, maybe do a little sheet metal work on this, whatever I have to do. If I can find a tray, that would be awesome. I don't know, you can't just check out eBay to find a tray. This entire enclosure is on eBay, but the guy wants like $150 for it, and that's a lot more than I paid for this. So, lots of dust. I try not to spend more on parts than what I did on the initial purchase of the machine, for my own sanity. No RAM. I guess, you know, when they were doing their data sanitization, they thought RAM might have had data on it. You know, some people think that. They're wrong. But, you know, in the right environment, if you can freeze the system to like absolute zero while memory is being held in RAM, you can steal it. You know, you're not getting anything that valuable off a high school computer. Okay, I just gotta find all the screws that are still attached to metal, because that one is not. Tasty. Kind of looks like one of those blue nacho chips. So yeah, this thing is that far gone, on that corner at least. The hard part is going to be getting this card out. I'm just going to have to get a regular screwdriver. Sorry, Linus. Can't do everything with it. Hey, look what I had on the floor behind me. A regular screwdriver. You see, when you do all your recording in a tight space and all your tools have to remain close to you, they tend to lay on the floor behind you. So, to give you an idea of what it looks like outside the frame of this camera. Okay, we were able to take this card out. The card looks in good shape. No corrosion on here. He did have some of the other ones that had the full RCA input-output on it. And that would have been nice to get, but they had corrosion on them. And I wasn't there to cherry pick. The guy, let me cherry pick enough by finding the least bombed system he had in hand. So it could have been worse. Okay, I'm not getting that screw out. And unfortunately, it's actually attached to the metal chassis somehow. That is hilarious. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. A pair of pliers or something. Now, the other thing I'm going to have to check on this thing is the power supply. I can only imagine the condition that thing is in. Little battle damage there. You got a very fuzzy capacitor. The screw that is holding this thing in is just gone, which sucks because I need to get it out. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Like I said, I'm probably going to have to get a pair of pliers and just break it out. Maybe a pair of diagonal cutters. All right, so I'm going to grab another set of tools and I'll be right back. All right, so I got a pair of diagonal cutters, Fat Max. Never had to use these to get a screw out before, but there's a first time for everything. Let's see if I can get some bite on that. Alright, so a pair of giant wire cutters couldn't get the screw head off. I tried my Leatherman, that couldn't do the job. So we're not being nice anymore. Let's just get to it and get the Dremel out. It'll only take a few seconds. I'm gonna put on my eye protection and get right to work. Alrighty, with a little bit of delicate grinding, I was able to get the screw to release the logic board. So let's go ahead and get this whole mess out of here and just see how bad it looks underneath. Shake that good old rust out. Hopefully I didn't do any damage to the logic board. I did nick it just a little bit around the screw head area there. Hopefully I didn't hit any important traces. So let's put that up front for now in all its disgusting glory. So it is a mess. This is going to have to be dealt with. So I can either replace the whole logic board carrier here or cut the affected part out and maybe machine something into there, 3D print something, take some basic pieces of tin, rivet it together and make a screw hole. Whatever I gotta do, that is the option. Those are the options I have. For now, just to get it running, I'm gonna just cut the affected area out and we will pretend that part doesn't exist when it comes time to put this all back together. So it'll be one screw shy of being complete, but it will be together until I can get a replacement or suitably fix this one. That's what I'm looking at there. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get this a little further disassembled. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take a little video here with my phone because I just don't have quite the right camera set up here to get this angle without moving everything. So if you see the inside of this thing, we've got rust, using my pointer finger, we got rust right there, a little bit down there, and that's about it for the most part. Aside from it being dirty, it isn't horrible. So all that aside, this thing I'm going to take apart and we will go ahead and get all this retrobrited, cleaned up really good. I'm going to check out the power supply separately. That's going to be a complete teardown. Get these side pieces off, everything cleaned, back to its original condition best I can. For the most part, there's no cracking in this thing. There's like a very minor crack on top, but it's not actually separated. It's just a crack in the plastic itself, not all the way through, so it's still fairly solid. I'm gonna have to figure out how to take this thing apart. I'm missing an apple. It fell down inside when I picked the thing up. Hopefully it's not broke. Hopefully it's something that clips right back in. Otherwise, you know, glue will do the trick. Apologize for the bad audio in that little bit there because I forgot to hit record up there where the microphone is. Okay, the first thing we need to do is get the front panel to pop off without breaking it. Okay, a couple clips on the bottom here. And then supposedly this thing just pops off. Okay, so there's a little clip right on the inside there. Okay, none of that felt natural. There's a good amount of rust that just came out of the front of this thing. A leaf, and heavens knows what else. Looks like the plastic button here also got dislodged. So that'll have to get fixed. Add that to the list of things I need to work on. I don't see any corrosion so much on the front there. The speakers look like they're in good shape, so that's good. So the less things I need to work on, the better. Okay. So this whole thing comes off like so. Ooh, yeah. Let's see if you can see this on camera here. It's kind of, I don't know what angle you're going to catch this at, but there's a lot going on in there rust-wise. This will all get cleaned up separately. Some more rust for the pile. A few screws here that hold on the EMI shield. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the shield here. This is the part where I'd warn you if you have no experience in high voltage, read up on it at least, learn about what's in here. This particular unit has been off, not powered on for decades at least. So I am not worried about anything other than finding, you know, critters in here. I'm not so much worried about the voltage. So that comes off like so. And at first glance, it doesn't look horrible. I don't see any blown components, nothing broken, nothing rusty up top here. The back of the power supply looks clean. I don't see any corrosion there, no critters living in it. That is a good sign. Let's give it a tilt. You hear that rust? Yep, that's not loose screws, that's rust. The main board, the analog board for the CRT looks alive. I don't see any bulging capacitors there, no issues. The CRT neck is intact, nothing is broken there. So I am not too concerned about that being bad. The main thing I would want to check out is this power supply. That is my main thing there that I'd be afraid to power this thing on before at least giving it a decent inspection. Okay, the power supply has come out. Aside from being a little dirty, everything seems intact. There's no corrosion. I don't see any bulging caps at the first glance. Definitely dirty, but everything seems to be intact the way it should be. So yeah, aside from being dirty, it's pretty good. I'm not too worried about using it now. I would not have powered this thing on without looking at it first, mainly because of how it was stored and just how much rust is on the inside of this thing. Alright, I was able to get the analog board out. This also doesn't look too terrible. I don't see any burnt connections or pins or anything. All the caps look good at first glance. No rust, which is a good sign. I will set this one aside now. Okay, I'm also finding a couple screws on the bottom here that hold that main chassis in. If I can get that out and I can find a replacement, that will bring this thing back to life. A couple more screws and we'll have this apart. Need to get the front housing out to release this thing here. Alright, once you get those screws loose, the front should pop right off. You gotta be careful, because you have to route your one cable through the degausser cable there. And now that is off, as well as all the rust that is inside of it. Alright, so it looks like the speakers are attached to this chassis as well. So I'm gonna have to try to get these off. Alright, so that was kind enough to pop off for me. So we'll get that down below. Alright, monitor slides off, then everything else just comes apart. So there goes a fan, there goes more cables, even more cables. The rest of those cables. That ribbon cable. And that cable. So, let me set this down somewhere safe. Alright, so I pretty much got this thing entirely broke down to every component level. My Leatherman is still inside. So, that's the last of the rust. As you can see here, it's pretty bad in that corner. If I can get a replacement main housing, I will. That's a big ask. So those are the main parts I'm going to be looking for. Mainly this main housing and the logic board tray. If I am able to source those, and hopefully I can, a few people on Facebook said they have parts machines of these things, so if they're willing to take it apart this far, that would be great. I am going to basically end it here, clean up my mess, and gather some parts together, and hopefully we'll get a working machine soon. I hope you like these types of videos. Like, subscribe, leave comments down below. I hope this all goes back together because it is a giant mess right now. I hope you guys like the new microphone I got instead of the old one I had. Hopefully it's good audio. I haven't tested it yet. This is my maiden voyage with it, so we'll see how that works. Once again, like, subscribe, let me know what you guys think, and if you have any spare parts for me, let me know. Take care.